Oh hi, I didn't see you there. I'm Philbert D. Commuting here is really hard. This is Phil on Films. This week we're talking about Damaso, Adan, and Frozen 2.
Damaso is a movie within a movie. Screenwriter Ferdy Damaso, played by Marco Mortel, is tasked with writing a historical movie. His director tells him to seek inspiration in his fictional namesake, Padre Damaso. We see scenes from Ferdy's script, which is an adaptation of Noli Me Tangere. As he writes the script, he experiences things in real life that inspire him to push the movie in different directions.
So, at the very least, we can call this film ambitious. It's not just an adaptation of Noli Me Tangere, it's a film within a film. It's also a musical. It purports to look into this character of Padre Damaso and complicate him, make him more of a full character instead of this flat symbol of Spanish oppression, which is an interesting idea, even though I don't necessarily agree with what that entails. Part of what this film seems to be about is this idea that even the people we think of as evil are still human and that they deserve some sort of sympathy despite the terrible things that they've done, which is kind of icky, especially in this time when there is such great evil in the world that maybe we need to just accept that some people are really shitty. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. There's certainly merit to trying to find empathy in even the worst of people as we perceive them. But this film doesn't even do that really well. For the most part, its adaptation of Noli Me Tangere is just really straight. It just takes random scenes from the book, takes them pretty much in chronological order, and just basically adds one little twist at the end where we get to hear Damaso just kind of telling people, imagine if you were me. Don't you think I hear all these rumors and things? Also, it's a song, and it's not great. The scenes in present day, which are supposed to meld with the story, the scenes in present day where we see the screenwriter struggling with his script, arguing with his director about the direction it's supposed to go, and this whole subplot with this poor guy played by Ketchup Eusebio who's being oppressed by his boss and dreams of going abroad. You can almost see the connection, but the film isn't able to make them meld in any meaningful way. Again, I really want to acknowledge how ambitious and how potentially clever this film is, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't come together. Also, the production isn't very good. I guess the period detail is okay, but it's shot very flatly. There are a lot of close-ups because they're clearly trying to hide the surroundings or something. And when we go into a musical number, the sound mix is come from a completely different place. It sounds like they recorded songs in a bathroom. It doesn't sound like it's part of the sound mix anymore. Again, I want to acknowledge that there's merit in what this film is trying to do, but I just don't think it's very successful. 2 stars.
Renescano is Ellen, a 16-year-old girl who's been living alone with her farmer father ever since her mother left them. She's just starting to explore her sexuality, and she yearns to leave their home. Her friend Yan, played by Cindy Miranda, decides to help her out of her dire situation. An act of violence bonds the two, and they grow intimate as they hide out from people that seek to do them harm.
This film starts out kind of okay. You run into this problem where it does feel like a bunch of male filmmakers making this movie about lesbians to get off on stuff. It starts out interesting enough. There's this subtle growth into the sexuality of the main character, where we are seeing her yearn for a kind of freedom that isn't afforded to her as a daughter of a man, a daughter somebody growing up under the iron fist of her father, who doesn't want her to explore, doesn't want her to leave the house. It's kind of limiting her options. And as much as it's always kind of icky when it's a bunch of male filmmakers making a film about lesbians, where they're kind of eroticizing this whole thing, there is some value in this idea of sexuality as freedom versus an oppressive state. But then things get more thrillery. It gets increasingly problematic as it goes on. As we keep watching this film, it becomes less about, say, the freedom of love or of sexuality or the joy of finding somebody who you actually connect with. It really becomes about how crazy women are. It's one of those films that equate sexuality with violence. It gets really tricky by the end, especially as things are revealed and these characters are made out to be more insane than we thought they were. It gets really, really problematic. I think there's still some stuff to like about it. It's shot fairly well, although it overuses drone shots for some reason. And I think Renescano is a really promising actress, just kind of fearless in everything that she's been in. I'd kind of like to see more of her outside of the context of just being a sexual object. But yeah, she's worth looking out for at the very least. I have kind of complicated feelings about this film, but they got less complicated as by the time I got out of the theater, where it just really felt like, oh yeah, okay, women are crazy. Watch out for lesbians. 2.5 stars.
Idina Menzel returns to voice Elsa, who has taken her rightful place as Queen of Arendelle. But a mysterious voice is calling to her, and her pursuit of it awakens an elemental force that wreaks havoc on her kingdom. Along with her sister Anna, voiced by Kristen Bell, and their friends Kristoff, Olaf, and Sven, the Queen travels to a magical forest to discover a long-buried wrong that needs to be made right.
The narrative feels a little looser this time around. There's a lot of business to attend to, with each of the 5 core characters getting their own little arc and spotlight numbers. The film just doesn't seem to be as concerned with telling a coherent story. It's really more about creating these memorable musical sequences. The film goes to these real stylistic lengths in order to maybe create another Let It Go. Now, this isn't really a bad thing, though your mileage might vary. Now, if you're already a fan of musicals, then you might be more okay with shaky stories held together by musical spectacle. If you're looking for a more solid narrative experience, you might feel a little frustrated. Now, to its credit, the film aims really high. It's this story of self-discovery tied to the characters having to confront the sins of the past. They get there, but you can really feel the shortcuts that they're taking. Actually pretty impressive. The visuals are great, and the voice cast remains exceptional. The film does retain some of the subversive spirit of the original, though it does ultimately land on some standard fairy tale tropes. Now, none of this is really bad, but it does feel a little less risky. 3.5 stars. Let's answer some questions. Dieterman98 on Twitter asks, why is violence acceptable but nudity, non-sexual or sexual, isn't? That's a complicated question, and I wish I had an easy answer. But generally, I think it's because people are more afraid of sex than violence. We show people dead on the news all the time. Like, we show corpses on the news. They tell people, watch out, this might be like super sad or freaky or whatever. But yeah, we see all that stuff all the time. But because in a Christian society, nothing's scarier than like, I don't know, the acknowledgement that people sometimes get naked and sometimes have sex. Also, it's a kind of a patriarchy thing where it's like acknowledging the sexuality of women is very dangerous, as we've talked about in an earlier review. We honestly, I think at this point, see more penises in films than like boobs. It's really weird because we're allowed to see dicks, I guess, but like women, oh no, hide their sexuality. Anyway, what do you think about Pinoy's predilection to plot twists? One, I don't know that we have a predilection to plot twists. I think writers have a predilection to plot twists because in general, no matter where you are around the world, they think that's what makes you a good writer, being able to think up of a good plot twist. Number 2, what's your take on the Elcano and Magellan, the first voyage around the world? Personally, I was wondering why this is even a thing. After all, it's common practice for a particular country to make protagonists out of their own heroes while making other countries play the antagonists. My take is that I saw the trailer, it looks bad. And 2, it's really weird that they're marketing it as like featuring our very own Lapu-Lapu. It's a real strange way to market the film where Lapu-Lapu is probably going to be the villain because I'm really wondering about this film. Because if they make it all the way to the Philippines, then spoiler alert, Magellan dies. It's a really strange way to tell a story about a hero. So I guess they're gonna change that. And I don't know. It's a really strange choice for a subject for a kids animated film. I guess Magellan is a historical figure that is worthy of some examination. Maybe you shouldn't do it as an animated, 3D animated film. Also, it just looks bad. I don't know. Maybe I'll see it. Maybe. We'll see. Green Gentleman commented, here's a question for the next episode. Have you written a screenplay? I've written short films that were produced. I haven't really written a full-length screenplay yet, although I've edited a bunch of them. I've given notes on a bunch of them. I've actually rewritten some of them. But I'm not gonna mention who or why. I mean, if I actually reviewed them, I would tell you. But anyway, there have been offers and stuff. But yeah, I think we have plenty of writers. We don't have a lot of people doing reviews. Actually, I've been put into this position where I can actually use my voice to talk about Filipino cinema. So I'm gonna use that more than like writing a screenplay. Although I would like to do it. Maybe eventually. Maybe when I'm too tired and I stop. Thanks for joining us. Just a heads up, in a couple of weeks I'll be going to Macau. I'll be attending the Macau International Film Festival. I'm gonna try to shoot some things there. Let's see how that works out. I'll be basically my own crew. So fun. Anyway, do all the stuff. Like and subscribe, leave a comment, ask questions, do all the internet things. And until next time, goodbye internet, buy us more calderos.